Hal Glanville.
Here.
J.R. Huddleston.
Here.
Deborah Johnston.
Here.
Bill Lukens.
Here.
Melissa Niles.
Here.
Travis Orbach.
Here.
Larry Pratt.
Here.
Linda Varvel.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our usual reminders, if you have a conflict of interest, please let the council know before you vote. And as always, the microphones are your friend. Don't be afraid to get up close and personal so the audience can hear you. Need a motion to approve an amended agenda. We have a couple changes under personnel. Personnel item Q, Natalie Sellner. The last day effective will be August 22nd. And then we're adding a new business item R for Robert Sandoval, wastewater maintenance. Be hired at top of scale, step 6, $13.69 an hour, with a start date of August 9th, 2023. Did I get that correct, Tracy? Yes. Thank you. And then under new business, we'll be adding an item J. Misty handed out a travel training request for Officer McMillan to attend the Alice instructor training in Rapid City on August 16th and August 17th.
I make a motion to approve an amended agenda, adding item R, Robert Sandoval, item Q, Natalie Sellner, last effective date 8/22/23, and item R, Robert Sandoval, wastewater treatment, top of scale, effective 8/9/23, and adding under new business item J, Thomas McMillan, to attend the Alice training course, 8/16 to 8/23.
Second.
Discussion?
That was 8/17. It's 8/16 to 8/17. Probably you had 2023 on there, but it's just a one day.
Okay,
Oh,
so amended, 8/17.
Second, Varvel.
yeah.
Thank you.
Can you say that again, Misty?
On his request, the dates are 8/16 to 8/17.
Yeah.
And he said 8/16 to 8/23.
Oh, all right.
And he probably was just reading the year.
All right. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the minutes from the July 17th council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 17th council meeting. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the minutes from the July 25th and 27th budget
I'll make
planning
a
meeting.
motion to approve minutes from the July 25th and 27th budget planning meetings.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve the bills in between.
I make a motion to approve the bills in between of $215,930.10.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the current claims.
Make a motion to approve current claims for $413,748.07.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the Wells Fargo credit card claims.
Make a motion to approve the Wells Fargo credit card claims, $10,932.02.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Brings us to communications from the public. First, folks, Charles Howard with the Hot Springs Amateur Radio Club.
Good evening. Chuck Howard, call sign is K0ORK. I've been a ham operator for about 20 years. What we're
Can
here
you,
for...
sir,
What?
can you give us your address?
1415 Badger Clark Road.
Thank you.
And speak into the mic so
Okay.
they can hear you on
I'm used to
video.
using a headset on my ham radio, so I don't have to set up the microphone. My apologies. What I'm looking for is permission to use the grounds up by the library to set up a temporary ham radio station for training purposes and for education. We want to incorporate the whole community in. We thought that bringing it up there where we have our testing already would be a good spot for it. I have given you some pictures of events that have happened in past in another state. There's also 3 pictures of a aerial photograph of the area by the library that has 2 different possibilities of places that we could set the event up. I did talk to the librarian today, and the library board wanted a lot more documentation and paperwork. So I'm wondering if, when you're looking at the picture, you'll see the one that says B or Bravo on it, that already has a driveway there, would be acceptable for use to set up a temporary station. What a temporary station would encompass is a pickup truck with an antenna mast strapped to it and some lines going down, a table with a canopy over the top, battery, solar panel, and we would try and talk around the world using HF. At the same time, we would be teaching any ham operators or anybody else what we're doing and how it's set up and why it's something that can be used. The Hot Springs Amateur Radio Society does have a memorandum of understanding with the Emergency Management Group. This would allow us to keep our members' skills up in using HF in case an emergency does happen. That's all I have.
Any questions, council?
I have one.
Go ahead.
You said the library asked you for what again? I'm sorry.
I talked to the librarian today, and she said that with the use of the land, they wanted a lot more documentation as to what we were doing. And I told her that I was going to go before you tonight to see how this was all going. I thought that was way above my purview. I am not a board member of the club. I'm not an officer of the club. I'm just somebody who was trying to put on a simple event to try and get some public recognition and to help the club.
So you think like were the library asking you for like a scope of what you were going to do?
They were talking about a memorandum of understanding.
Oh.
They were talking about documents signed about the land use. They were talking about a liability waiver.
Okay.
Possible insurance, I don't know what you call it, when you have an insurance binder.
Yeah.
All of those things to go with having a setup on their property. That's why I decided to have the picture of the second one where the letter B is. That's already got a driveway there. I didn't think that that would be any problem with driving a vehicle up there and setting up something temporary.
Is this a one-time event?
We're going to start it as a one-time event. I would like to do it on the second Saturday of every month unless it's raining or snowing. That's kind of the plan.
And so you know those recommendations come from our insurer of what we need to get if we allow events on city-owned property.
Okay.
Sounds like from what you mentioned that those are the same things they asked us
I
to
didn't
do.
know that I'd be running into that. This was just something I wanted to dot the i's and cross the t's.
Thank you.
And that's the reason why I wanted you to come, because what I explained in the advisory committee has certain limitations as to what can and can't be done, so,
I appreciate that.
yes, sir.
And just maybe for the new council members, the discussions we've had with the emergency manager, Frank Maynard, in the past, what Chuck says is absolutely correct. The ham radio operators are their communications capabilities are integrated into the county emergency management plan. So that's keeping those capabilities up and functioning isn't just a fun thing to do. It's part of the county emergency management plan.
Any other questions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Looking at your request, and you just mentioned that you'd like to do it the second Saturday of each month. Is the location specific? Do you have to have that location?
No, we can go anywhere. That's one of the benefits of it. The reason I picked that location is the ham radio club does ham radio testing there once a quarter. So we already had a presence at the library area, and I want to continue that, or wanted to continue that, so people knew that that's where we were going to be, and if you needed your testing, you could do your test. If you passed it, you can come out and you can talk on the radio around the world. It was just trying to, a synergy thing.
They have allowed field.
I need to know who you are too, sorry.
They have allowed field day operations there at the library before, where we've been able to set up and have the tables and everything there.
Sir, can we have your name and address, please?
Randy Graham, 642 Happy Hollow Street.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, sir.
So the reason I ask that question is that Butler Park is not a park that we take reservations for. And that mostly has to do with the terms that the land was given to the city to be used for recreation for everyone. So not to discourage use, but if we start reserving space for your group, then we set a precedence where other folks are going to want to have space reserved in an area that we don't take reservations for. So if you find yourself on a particular weekend and that location is taken, then you would be able to pick another location that you could use?
Yes.
Are you flexible enough for that?
We're totally flexible. Mostly what we need is a flat spot. Any park, anybody's backyard, anything like that would work. The reason I was picking that area is it's central to a lot of different people that are in the clubs. We've got people up in Custer, we've got people in Edgemont and Oleark. They all come here to be part of this club, rather than, going way out and around. In the park there, you could have everything going, because all we would need is enough room to park 10 cars maybe, and they wouldn't even have to be all on the grass, and an area as big as this rostrum to set it up in. And there's no site specific. We don't need power. Bathrooms would be nice, but there's some available there. So, but that's what we're looking for.
And for all the reasons that have been discussed, I think it's an exciting opportunity. Again, just because we can't reserve Butler Park for any particular group, day or time, it's available to anybody to use it other than our soccer groups and the baseball kids and those things. But so it sounds like that would work for you, knowing that it doesn't have to be it could be every Saturday, it could be a Friday, it could be a Thursday, whatever would work into your schedule and space would allow.
The reason I picked the second Saturday is there's already I can't say too big of a national, but I know that there's 7 or 8 different clubs that hold a second Saturday event at noon Central Time. So we would be an hour different from that. That allows these groups to try and talk back and forth around the country. St. Paul, Minneapolis, Kentucky, California, Texas. They all have groups that we talk on Facebook and whatnot. I'm trying to set one up here in Hot Springs to bring the whole area together, to bring it, so there is someone there that's listening for you, and you're trying to make contacts out of state. That's the reason for the timing.
Okay.
I thoroughly support this, and I think the library area would be a great place, because you would be access to all the generations and hopefully stimulate that interest in our younger generations coming up, because it's one of those national needs for Homeland Security. And my dad was a radio man, and it's just, I really support what you're doing.
Anyone else? So, sounds like there's great support for it, just recognizing that there may be a Saturday that somebody got there first, and you have to pick a different location.
We can make that work.
There's only one thing I would point out, nothing negative. I know you want to pull a vehicle on if Butler Park is the choice, but try to discourage as many vehicles parking on the grass as we can. So just let you know that too also.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
One more. Chuck, do you have contact information that's public? Just look you up on Facebook?
Yes, Chuck Ork.
Chuck what?
Ork, O-R-K.
Okay.
Or you can get a hold of me directly at K0ORK@yahoo.com.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
K0ORK@yahoo.com.
Okay. Thank you.
You don't have any business cards?
I do have some I can give you.
Great. That would, perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
There you go, Misty.
Thank you.
Misty, there's his pictures. Thank you. Don't put those.
I'll get your information from one of the other folks. And to follow up on Larry's question, as far as vehicles on the grass, if you find that it's going to be necessary to have vehicles on the grass prior to doing that, we just ask you to work with the library folks to figure out where the sprinklers are, so we can get flags up or something so they're not driving on sprinklers.
The area that we were talking about using for the library, you don't have the map up there anymore. There is already an entranceway off of, I think it's 14th, that looks little used, and that was the area I was thinking of parking in there. Just going up, there's a little bush that's kind of dead, park right next to that, set up, put up a canopy, and put up the antenna from that point.
All right.
But I will have to get back with the librarian to make sure that I can get everything that she needs done.
Isn't
Otherwise-
Area B in Butler Park and not at the library?
Yes, the Area B is in Butler Park. Area A is at the library. If we can't work the A position out, we go to the B position.
Where he's talking about, Misty, is over by the playgrounds.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that we decided he was going to do it in B, and that's why we were talking about Butler Park. so
Yeah,
much.
that's what, B would work just fine. That way there's no problem with vehicle entrance. When I say we need to park on the grass, what I needed, if you have a curb and you pull up to it, using the front of the vehicle to stabilize the mast is what I'm trying to do. So being able to pull into the grass, put a post into the ground about that far, and then set the mast on it and tie it to the front of the truck. It's much more efficient to set up an antenna set up that way, rather than having to have someone hold it, put out the guy wires and everything, all of the other pieces. It's just much quicker to set up and take down.
All right. So my understanding is once you get your answers from the library folks, the board as a whole, or the council as a whole is supportive of the idea?
Yep, I agree.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other communications from the public? On to council updates. Public Works Engineer, Tracy?
I think I can hold up a little bit. Okay. Well, good evening. And as we've all noticed, the wet weather is continuing unabated. which has definitely presented some challenges for the contractors with the road project. They've spent an awful lot of their time with sump pumps, pumping out areas that collect water so that they can proceed to pour some more concrete. In the last week, Complete Concrete Incorporated has brought in some more crew members. You may have noticed last week that the activity level on North River Street definitely had more people involved, and that really has helped. That's probably some of their more tedious work to be, removing the old sidewalk that's actually bonded in many cases to the old buildings. So that's a lot of handwork that they have to do. But they have managed to put in quite a bit of the sidewalk on North River Street. Probably if we wouldn't have had the recent rain this morning, they may have poured some concrete today, but perhaps tomorrow. We do have a weekly update meeting every Tuesday at the American Legion. It's a contractors and stakeholders meeting at 9 o'clock, but at 10 o'clock it is a public meeting. So anyone who is interested, has any concerns for the project, they are welcome to come at 10 a.m. at the American Legion. As far as the utilities that are related to the project at this point, we're not presently involved with any water main or sewer main installations at this stage. And actually all of the utilities for now, for probably the next month or maybe 2 months, have been completed. So the focus is now on surfacing work, concrete, placement of concrete. The utility contractor has moved down to South Chicago Street on the east side now. That has been opened up. They are doing storm sewer installation, so they're very much occupied with that. The city crews, we did replace valves on the intersection there at Albany and South Chicago once that surface was removed, and we were able to do that. So that project was accomplished last week on Tuesday night. Took most of the night, but at least it was a nice night. We were not rained on that night. Other than that, that's the status pretty much of the utilities with the road project. Also, where the surfacing is at. Now, as far as just some of our own areas of interest, we had a unique event yesterday afternoon at our loading dock. We had a gasket that failed in one of the connections in the basement of it, if you will. And I actually responded to that. Had a report that there was water coming out the door. And when I came up to the loading docks, sure enough, water was probably about 15 to 17 inches deep inside the building. And of course, when I opened the door, I did stand to the side because I knew it would be quite a flood that came out. It was just a simple gasket, but it's amazing how much water came out of that. And then this afternoon, I discovered a new water main break on Evans Street that had just appeared probably around noon. I was actually just going up that way, saw muddy water in the curb and gutter, and I thought, this does not look right. And sure enough, it wasn't right. The crews were able to get on to that right away at about 1:30 this afternoon, and the problem was exposed. Last I checked on it was about 5 o'clock. Once again, it was a rock on PVC plastic water main that was installed in the 1977 or 1978 timeframe. So that is a concern that I do have, that we have been seeing more of these types of breaks of lines that were put in about 40 or 45 years ago. And at that time, the practice was not to use soft material. They just put whatever they dug out, they just put it back in, and so you have rocks that you give them 40 years or 45 years, and they split the pipe. So that's my update. So I'll take any questions.
Are we spending a lot of our time making connections to businesses and along South Chicago and that, or is that pretty much done?
That's done. Yeah, that's done. Yeah, any of the water service lowering and all of that, there may be a little bit with the current storm sewer installation, but not really expecting much.
I just had a question about the intersection at the Dip Bridge,
Okay.
and I was just wondering how they were progressing with that.
My crystal ball is not working today, so.
Okay.
I think weather has been an issue. They were having, I know last week with the rains, they were having issues with the storm sewer pipe that they had put under the road. The water was over top, or coming over the top of it, washing out their newly placed backfill, so they'd have to redo it. And then another day goes by and it happens again and again. We have been given a general, and I will say very general, indication that probably within the next maybe couple weeks that will resume normal operation until they do more of the permanent long-term work on it, and that will probably be next year's project as far as we know.
Oh, okay.
So access from Chicago Street to South 6th Street will probably be restored within the next, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 10 days to 2 weeks. But don't hold me to it because I'm not.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Any other questions? Tracy mentioned a couple of things here I'd like to kind of add to the water break that they found today. When Tracy and I were talking about it, my first question to him was, is it PVC that's planted on riprap rather than a nice bedding material? And he's now said that that's the case. And I think this council and future councils need to be aware of the fact that there's a lot of pipe in town that was bedded with this same method. And we're going to see more of these problems, not less than these problems. The 1,900 feet that was added as far as the road reconstruction project for the water main is to address this exact issue. They recognized with the water main breaks they had along River Street, that if we didn't do something with getting that line replaced, we were going to be putting a brand new highway over water mains that were going to fail, and we were going to be digging into it. And the last two breaks, the one on Evans was the same situation, or just north of Evans Plunge. So I just want to let the council know that you're going to see more of these, and future councils are going to see more of these with water main projects that were done in that particular time frame. There's not going to be less, there's going to be more of them.
That is correct. One of the things that were priding, really very happy about was over the last 40 years, actually the city bought the water system in 1975, I believe. And at that time, there was virtually no plastic pipe, no PVC pipe. It was very old. So there's been very aggressive work throughout the last 45, almost 50 years to replace mains with PVC. Unfortunately, as we have found in mostly the last 10 years, and accelerating, unfortunately, in the last few years, is that we're seeing that first generation of the PVC water mains that were installed. They are failing, and it has always been every single time, it is because of a rock or a chunk of asphalt or something like that that was just put back in the hole, and the pipe was laid on it, laid upon it. Usually it's the bottom of the pipe, and it's resting on a rock, and it doesn't have to be very big. It can be about the size of a pop can, and it'll do it.
Now, under personnel tonight, we added an agenda item for Robert Sandoval, wastewater maintenance operator. You and Sean and Jason interviewed him today. Do you
Yes, that is correct.
Have any updates you'd like to give council? We're excited about being able to get somebody on board. We've had a hard time getting wastewater and water folks.
Yes, and this candidate for the position checked checked all the boxes really of what with past experience. He's worked a lot with equipment. He's been involved in his life in agricultural operations. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, because certainly with the wastewater position, it's not always the most pleasant to work with, but so we're very pleased with that, and we're glad to take him on board, and we hope the best for him.
One more opening still to fill, correct?
We do actually have one more opening. This will really help us out a lot. Right now, we've just had one person full-time in wastewater, 3 full-time people in water. And of course, among us, myself included, we take the on-call rotations. There's not a lot of space between your on-call turn and then when people are trying to take some vacations, or they have shoulder replacements or whatever, various health issues. It really has put a lot of extra burden on everybody. So having one more person is going to really help that out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, council? Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Next is the Executive Director of SHEDCO, Andrea.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. First, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you for this year's budget investment in SHEDCO. The board was very, very thankful. Of course, housing has been our #1 priority now for the past 2 years, and Fall River Health Services has closed on their property that, in my mind, is just south of the ambulance facility. I don't think that's correct, but to me it's south. Further towards Crawford, yeah. And that is 10 acres that they plan to do housing development with. And I'm in the process of setting up a meeting with Dream Design, and I've also passed to them a template RFP that Spearfish used for their most recent workforce housing development, as well as the matrix that they used to decide on the developer that they would hire for that. So hopefully that's helpful. I met with Chaz Olson, who's the director of South Dakota Housing Development, to discuss our Building 1 project and determine how much funding we could access for that and what it could possibly be used for. He made a lot of clarifications for me, and I subsequently took those clarifications to Dream Design. Mike Stanley is the architect that I've been working mostly with. And after discussion between us, we figured out that if we did apply for this infrastructure grant through South Dakota Housing Development, that we would be able to access $33,000. And yeah, it's a disappointment. So the funding formula was either $10,000 per multifamily unit, which is a rental, an apartment, or a third of the total infrastructure project, whichever is less. And Mike had determined that it will cost Dream Design about $100,000 to make the alterations to the water and sewer lines that need to be made to Building 1. So a third of that is $33,000. So that's how that number was arrived at. So his thoughts are we probably should not apply because, as I understand it, the funding only applies to public land process. So anything, and this is confusing for me because the property that they need to cross is also state property, right? It's not private property. So that's still a question that needs to be answered. But ultimately, I don't think Dream Design will apply for that funding. Did that make sense? Kind of?
Yeah.
So the funding won't apply for what crosses the private property. It only applies to what crosses public property, publicly owned streets, et cetera. But at the same time, the other piece of property that these pipes need to cross is also state land. So therein lies some confusion that has yet to be figured out. I also talked with some managers of market rate apartments here in town, and there are really no comparables for a new apartment structure. So we are looking at charging market rate that's in Rapid City for these apartments, for the 1 and 2 bedrooms. Currently, that's between $900 and $1,100 a month for the 1 bedrooms and $1,100 and $1,500 for 2 bedrooms. Mike also shared that a new developer's been hired to work with him so that he can prioritize our project, and he and I have been meeting weekly to keep that on the top of the list. One of the architects that was at the firm accepted a job in another state, so they've been shorthanded for a while. I'm also going to contact Chaz Olson and put together a meeting with Dream Design to explore the funding options through South Dakota Housing Development. They have a criteria that is the apartment rentals can only be, they have a chart that shows housing costs for 115% of median income, what that family unit or individual can pay. I need to determine whether that's 15% of state median income or local median income. In a number of cases, if the local median income is lower than the state, you go with the states. Currently, our Hot Springs median income, no, I should say Fall River median income is $51,000, whereas the state median income is $63,000. So that's a pretty big gap. That would have an effect on how much can be charged for the rentals should we go through South Dakota Housing Authority. Any questions about that? It's very convoluted, I know.
Does that fall like under HUD or Section 8?
No, neither one of those would. They have programs that don't, that you're thinking of the HOF program, right? This wouldn't fall into that program.
Okay.
So we're specifically about market rate housing right now, since we're so skewed as a community in the direction of subsidized housing.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You've mentioned Dream Design twice, once in connection with Fall River Hospital. So is that, and you said it's closed, so that's...
They've closed on the property, but they have not...
We can publicly talk about that now?
I'm sorry, what?
We can publicly talk about that now?
I think you should talk with Jeremy Schultz and yeah, get the straight skinny up from him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
All right.
But it has been a long struggle to get a closing on that property, as you know, years. So it's a good sign.
And Dream Design is the group they're going with?
No, not necessarily. I'm encouraging them. They do want to meet with Dream Design since they do so much work in the Black Hills, and I am encouraging them to put out an RFP to any potential bidders for the job.
All right. And then Dream Design and the State Home, the old Building 1, they're going to move forward with that then?
Yes.
So the financing or lack of financing, that's been resolved and they're
We are
they know what the
looking,
next
we're
steps are.
currently looking at programs to bring the cost down because the interest rates are so high, and as you know, building materials have more than doubled. So we're trying to find out how to do it and still make market for them as the developer and the subsequent manager of the apartments.
Okay. So they had taken a pause until the legislature figured out what they're going to do. They now have that answer, and things will pick up again?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
We
you.
were holding off in part for this infrastructure grant, and now we realize it's really a drop in the bucket. I attended a 3-day Board of Trustees retreat with Western Dakota Tech. I'm still on the Board of Trustees. The retreat dealt with goals for our next year, and these included on-campus housing. That's been a big deterrent to some of our lower-income students being able to get back and forth to attend school, and the on-campus housing would allow them to stay in the area without having to deal with utilities and all the other bills that go along with living independently if they're in dorm-style housing. We also discussed the transfer of property for that housing from Rapid City School District to Western Dakota Tech, and the offering of certification-specific courses for dual credit. Up to now in the schools, you could take dual credit courses, but they would be English 101 and basic algebra and those kinds of things. They're exploring and approaching the state, the Board of Technical Education is, for more specific courses that apply to whatever area you're in, be it plumbing or construction or nursing. And that would be a big help if we could get some of these courses shoved down to the high school level. And the satellite nursing program is set to begin its preparatory classes in the fall of 2024. GOED asked me to help organize a meeting with the area banks in both Hot Springs and Custer so that they can discuss their new loan programs that can be partnered with the banks, and that's going to take place on August 18th.
Is that open to the public?
I'm sorry?
Is that open to the public?
I don't know. Would you like to go?
I'm interested in information.
Well, I'll let them know. Sure, that'd be great. Department of Labor has started a new apprenticeship program that's statewide. I've communicated with Bill Christensen from the Department of Labor. He's willing to come to both Hot Springs and Edgemont and do informational meetings for anybody who's interested in having an apprentice. And there's something like 1,400 designated national apprenticeship programs that already have their curriculums built out. And there's also people doing apprenticeships in tattooing. So they're willing to look at just about anything. They started a pilot program through DSU to help paras become teachers, paraprofessionals become teachers, specifically in special ed and the elementary areas. So they're very willing to expand, and the program has a lot of advantages for both the mentor. The mentor can be paid to develop the program and pay for the apprentices themselves. So it makes it easier for somebody who's no longer in school, who has to work for a living but would like to upgrade their skill sets to become an apprentice in one of these fields.
Is there a listing of the fields out there, probably?
They're through Department of Labor and Resources, and yes, they're all numbered. So,
Is that something that could be incorporated with some of the veteran programs?
I would think so. I would certainly hope so.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where you're coming from to participate, but in terms of the work programs, I would think it'd be a great
Well, it would just
fit.
help a lot with the veterans, probably in a good way, because you do so much for so long, and you try to get set on the good road again, and then you don't have any life skills, so it would be great.
Yeah. My challenge will be making sure that I get the word out to all the potential mentors. So he's going to be sending me marketing materials, and I'll take any help I can get in getting the word out. I asked him if we could do this in early fall, because that seems to be when people are willing to come in for a meeting after summer's over.
Right.
And I think around 5 p.m. when everybody's getting off work is probably the best time. Black Hills Biochar. I've been contacted by the owners of Black Hills Biochar, and they're searching for a new location. They've been doing a lot of work down here in Fall River, but they had been leasing land up in Custer County, and they would like to relocate down here. Bill Lukens and I are going to be meeting with the owners and some investors, and Travis too, I think. I haven't had word yet, I'm sorry to say. I'm going to call them as soon as I leave here, and I'll be texting you to let you know. We're either meeting with them tomorrow or Wednesday. I do know that the investors are in town, are in Hermosa now. So I'll be getting with you on that. Shedco's due for a new strategic plan. We opted out of doing it with Dakota Resources this year, but we would like to put something together with the city so that we can dovetail our goals and priorities along with the cities for the next 5 years. I have the comp plan, but I think we could address something a little more specific if there's a willingness there. I'm just laying it out there for you to start thinking about. Historic preservation. I attended a historic preservation meeting and suggested that we approach our ward representatives about a potential allocation of some of the historic preservation funding that comes from the state and goes almost all to Deadwood. And the 3 ward reps will be attending a meeting on October 4th to explore how we might look at that and take it before the legislature. And that's everything I have.
October 4th?
Yes.
Sorry, thank you.
Any questions about that?
Wow.
That's what you've been doing
I
in your
love it
spare
when you
time.
email me your notes.
I'm going to give it to
Hand it
you.
to me.
And I'll email it as well. I know it's easy.
I'll take that one.
Okay.
Thanks.
No?
Thanks for all that, Andrea.
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate it.
It's exciting to hear that the work that you've been putting in with Fall River Health System and the state home, getting housing that is now finally starting to pay off. That's exciting. Thank you for that.
It's always so glacial, and I'm impatient as everyone else is, so you just have to keep leaning in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you again, Andrea.
All right, our last council update, Hot Springs Chamber Executive Director, Olivia.
Hello, okay. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Nelson, City Council, city personnel, and community members. Thank you for inviting me to give a report from the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce. On the tourism front, we have seen a slight decline in visitor numbers, but this is not unique to Hot Springs. There is a general dip in numbers in our area overall. Our Depot Information Center reports on an average of about 40 to 80 people per day throughout the season, which is slightly lower than usual. July 15th to August 4th of this year, we had 899 visitors in total from 33 different states and 10 different countries. So that is good to see people coming from many places. We're seeing very good results from our marketing efforts, and recently Hot Springs was featured on the Points Guy in the 12 best places to travel in August. This was written by a freelance travel and wellness writer, Geordie Lip McGraw, who included details on the Fall River Hot Air Balloon Festival in Hot Springs and highlighted other sites for travelers to visit in town, including the Mammoth Site and Wind Cave. We found ourselves in the prestigious company of Trondheim, Norway, Providence, Rhode Island, Tahiti, Quebec, Isla Mujeres in Mexico, Zurich, and Santa Fe, New Mexico, to name a few. The Chamber continually works in partnership with South Dakota Tourism, and this article came as a result of their public relations efforts. In partnership with their PR agency, Lou Hammond Group, they promoted the Chamber's Hot Air Balloon Festival, which resulted in our inclusion in their piece. We also received some wonderful coverage of Moccasin Springs Natural Mineral Spa and Southern Hills Mercantile and Tap Room from Midwest Living in a recent article on the Southern Black Hills. This was as a result of the South Dakota Tourism team hosting editors of Midwest Living for the Buffalo Roundup. We were also fortunate to have some great balloon festival coverage from our friends at Black Hills Electric Co-op, who included a feature on our balloon festival in their August newsletter. And then we had Black Hills Lifestyle magazine, who interviewed me for an excellent article in their August edition. It's really exciting to see our festival getting such recognition, and all of the above coverage of Hot Springs is free. This kind of publicity is fantastic for us, and we're thrilled to see our marketing efforts bearing fruit. Okay, bear with me. Another great free opportunity for marketing Hot Springs was recently offered to us by Randy Peterson of blackhills.com and sturgis.com. We were invited to provide them with 2,000 of our brochures and dining information to be included in a welcome packet that they hand out during Sturgis. We provided them with the information, and Randy called to compliment us on our brochure. He says it's being very well received. So these opportunities, along with our paid efforts, go a long way to ensuring Hot Springs is recognized as a vacation destination and lets visitors know just how much the small town has to offer. We are expecting a lot of visitors to town for the 8th Annual Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce Fall River Hot Air Balloon Festival this August 25th to 27th. We should have around 25 balloons flying this year, and we have a big lineup of activities for the weekend. The festival will open at noon on the 25th at Centennial Park with a free performance from Shadburn magician Jared Furno, who will also be making balloon animals for kids. And we have some great vendors in the park, as well as farmers market, and following farmers market that evening ends off with a performance of Kim and the Classics. While things go on in Centennial Park for the public, the Chamber also hosts the Pilot Welcome Dinner, sponsored by the Mammoth site, where pilots meet the sponsors and receive their safety and landowner relations briefings. With weather permitting, the balloons will launch around 6 a.m. from the Hot Springs Airport on the Saturday and Sunday mornings. And once again, McGas Propane is sponsoring the appearance of the Freedom Flight POW-MIA balloon. We have also joining us this year the Touchstone Energy corporate balloon flying in the festival. After the balloon launch, there's a bonus for young aviation enthusiasts. From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Young Eagles are offering free airplane rides or flights to youth aged 8 to 18 to promote interest in aviation. To participate in these flights, parental consent is required. All the pilots providing the flights are experienced and licensed and insured pilots, and although this isn't specifically a part of our balloon festival, we are helping them out by spreading the word and creating awareness. In-town activities will start in Centennial Park around 8 a.m. with vendors, fun run, burrito breakfast, and the Kids Zone giant inflatables with games and obstacle courses will be back from 8 to 5. The walk-in balloon will be set up at the Mammoth site from 9 to 11, and they will also be hosting a fun zone with mini golf games, science fun, and adult throwing. Butler Park will again be the predominant night glow location, as well as the Mammoth site, and the POW-MIA balloon will glow at the State Veterans Home. Businesses are being asked to consider extending their hours, and we also ask that people notify us if they're planning on doing anything special to add to the festival, something balloon-themed or offering specials, so that we can include it in our program. We haven't forgotten the hardships that some of our local businesses are experiencing due to the ongoing reconstruction project. We are currently working on a campaign to encourage community members to make an extra effort to park at Centennial Park and cross the bridge and shop at the North River businesses and support these businesses as they are being hit the hardest. We've also received a grant from South Dakota Tourism for $5,000, which will be used for television advertising in the shoulder season, also to promote visitation. In summer, we had the TV co-op with KOTA TV, which is very popular, and with this grant, we can extend our coverage of television into the fall. Also, with local businesses in mind, we have the Merchants Trick or Treat coming up in October, and in November, our digital advertising campaign starts. The Holiday in Hot Springs campaign runs through to the end of the year from the beginning of November, and the November part focuses on local shopping and Small Business Saturday. The December part of the campaign focuses on advertising the Christmas in the Hills celebration, the Cookie Cruise, storefront decorating contests, and the Santa Hat shopping spree event. Another element of this campaign is the Chamber's sponsorship of the 12 Days of Christmas advertising with paid boosts on Facebook for 12 businesses. This culminates in a special colour insert in the Herald Star right before the Santa Hat shopping spree day. Other elements of the campaign are also print, radio and digital ads to attract shoppers to Hot Springs for the holiday season. The Chamber is committed to supporting our businesses however possible to see us through the reconstruction to a bright future, especially downtown. And that's all for me. I thank you for this opportunity to update you on Chamber activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
So much
Any questions,
going on.
council?
I've emailed.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry?
Just ask council if they had any questions for you.
It sounds like you're doing a lot of, appreciate all the coordination you're doing with the Young Eagles after the launch on the Balloon Festival.
You're welcome. They
I know they've been wanting to get involved for a long time, so that's great.
And it also draws awareness to our airport, which is important as well. So it's good to work with them.
So I just want to add to the, Olivia, you were talking about how severely most of our businesses have been impacted by the road reconstruction. The last couple of weeks, some of the business owners have gone to the public meeting, the construction meeting, and just shared how significantly they've been hit. Was encouraged to hear that what doesn't seem like a plan on the outside, Scott Donnelly with Complete Construction shared that what they're trying to get done right now along North River Street is get the sidewalks put in, get the utilities put in. Of course, utilities have to go in before the sidewalks can go in, but get that section of road completed so they can open it back up to traffic. And in doing that, they want to have parallel parking along North River Street, which would give the businesses an opportunity for some people to start visiting those businesses again. Weather is playing heck with them. Anybody that's lived in this part of the country knows that the wet season we've been having is unusual for us. I've heard some people in the public say, well, it's not raining today, why aren't they working? Well, when you get 2 inches of rain, it's a little tough to work in mud. It doesn't help the businesses that are being impacted, but that is the reality of the construction. They've been down on workers. Tracy was talking about the fact that there have been additional workers on North River Street. During the Sturgis Rally, the state highway closes down road reconstruction projects across the state. Thankfully, they haven't closed down our construction project here in Hot Springs. But the reason that people have been seeing more construction workers in Hot Springs last week and going into this week is there's a state project up around Tilford that got shut down because of the rally. So there were 10 additional workers that Complete Construction brought down. So they started doing a heck of a lot more, especially on North River Street, getting the construction in on the south end of it down around Waterfront to get that road taken care of. And then we have rain over the last couple days, which again slows them down. But they recognize that this isn't easy. They're not happy about it, but they're doing what they can to get us our road back as soon as they can. Anybody that lives in Hot Springs knows that around North River Street, there is no way around it.
Yeah.
Once you start working in there. I would ask public to understand that schedules, sometimes it's tough to stay with it's only going to be a week or 2 weeks. And the Deb Bridge is a good example of that.
Well, we're working with the Fall River County Herald Star just to try and create an awareness campaign, we know it's inconvenient to have to park and walk, but don't forget these are our community members, our neighbors, our friends. They need our support. You get some good exercise. Just don't forget and continue to be aware that these are our people that are battling. So do what you can, and that's basically the gist of the campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Livia.
Okay, that takes us to personnel. Can I get a motion to approve personnel actions A through R, remembering that we did an amendment to Q to change the effective date of August 22nd and adding Robert Sandoval as a new employee.
Make a motion to approve personnel actions, items A through R.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to resolutions. Resolution 2023-19, a resolution to amend a citywide fee resolution.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-19, a resolution to amend the citywide fee resolution to change airport fuel price to $5.95 per gallon and add a temporary price of $5.70 per gallon effective September 6, 23 through September 10, 23 only.
Second.
Discussion.
Bill, I asked you today what the reason behind this was. Could you give us an explanation?
Yeah, the dates for the temporary reduction are the dates of the fly-in. This is something that's typically done by airports when there is a fly-in. Last year during the fly-in, we sold, I can't remember, it was over 2,000 gallons of aviation fuel. So this will only cost us, if you will, about $400. There will be they're expecting over 50 aircraft to be at the fly-in. About half those folks will camp in tents under their airplanes. The other half will be in our local motels. They will be buying, some of them will be eating at our restaurants. A lot of the food will be prepared at the airport, so we'll be buying groceries from our local grocery stores. And one of the things this event does is it promotes our city. There's people building homes here and moving here because they attended a fly-in and liked Hot Springs, and so they moved here. So there's therefore then building materials and hiring contractors. So this is a very positive thing for our community. So that's the reason we want to make them feel welcome, and we'll give them a little break on the price of fuel. So it's a very temporary thing. The reason for the other change to $5.95 a gallon, currently wholesale prices are jumping up above $5 a gallon. The last, you'll see later on that we did buy, I think, a half a load of fuel. We got that at $4.93 delivered. So the next, depending on what fuel prices do, the next load is likely to be above $5 a gallon. And when we set fuel prices, we're always looking at what's our next load going to be. So that in a nutshell and a half is why we're doing what we're doing.
And each municipality can have discriminatory pricing, correct?
Say again?
A municipality can have discriminatory pricing, correct?
I don't understand your question. By discriminatory pricing?
As to making the decision to bring the price up or lower the price, correct?
We can charge whatever we want to.
Okay, thank you.
It's just that the council's the one that has to adjust the fee,
All right.
approve the fee.
Thank you, sir.
Travis, you got any comments?
No, what Bill said covered it, I think.
All right.
I didn't hear.
I didn't hear that. Can you say that
What
again,
I
sir?
said covered it.
What Bill said covered it.
We have dunked Travis into a very deep horse trough of airport stuff, and
I'm understanding philosophies right now.
All right, any other questions for Bill or Travis? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. On to new business. New business item A, approve and authorize the finance officer to sign the sales order, lease agreement, and maintenance agreement.
I make a motion to approve and authorize the finance officer to sign the sales order, lease agreement, and maintenance agreement to replace the multi-function printer at City Hall with Century Business Products.
Second.
Discussion. Misty, any comments?
This 5-year lease agreement will provide us a new multifunction printer at City Hall. It gets phenomenal use. It's 15 years old now. They no longer service. The service agreement ended in August. And with the lease, as opposed to a purchase, provides us the opportunity to lease it today, now, and the monthly fees fit right within our current maintenance agreement budget.
Perfect.
The machine will be very similar in nature to what we have. Same product line, will have the same functions. And we'll continue with the maintenance agreement that we've had with Century Business Products.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item B, approve and publish 2 times a request for qualifications.
I make a motion to approve and publish 2 times the request for qualifications for airport engineering services for the 5-year period 2024 through 2028 as required by the FAA.
Second.
Discussion. So I'll hand this one off to Travis and Bill.
5 years ago, we selected KLJ as our airport engineer. For FAA requirements, every 5 years, we have to go out and request qualifications from other engineering firms and go through an evaluation process. This motion will allow us to publish that request for qualifications 2 times. Once those qualifications come in, the Airport Advisory Committee will then go through and do that evaluation and assessment and make a recommendation to council on what engineering firm should be our provider. Did I cover that, Misty?
That was a very good summary.
Thank you.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item C, approve and publish 2 times the notice to bidders.
I'll make a motion to approve and publish 2 times the notice to bidders for the 2023 Mueller Civic Center lobby roof and skylight replacement project.
Second.
Did we skip one?
No?
No?
Nope.
I've got the contract change order out of order.
BDC.
That's what I got, sorry.
That's next.
All right.
All right, discussion. Tracy has given his change order narrative. Additional membrane and fastener materials needed to extend over the parapets.
Nope.
Nope.
You've moved on.
Have I moved on?
Yeah, did I get it in the wrong order? No, the Mueller Center roof is first.
We're on.
Then the change order is
Skylight.
next.
Yeah.
Number C.
So we just approved the Mueller Center roof, not the change order, right?
Change order is next.
We're on C, not D.
Okay.
Yep.
And who had the second on the,
On the airport
Linda.
one?
Linda.
Linda, thank you.
All right, so back up to new business C.
Right.
Did we get a motion and a second to approve and publish 2 times the notice to bidders?
We did that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So discussion.
Larry and Linda on C.
Okay.
I made the motion, Linda seconded.
All right. So the notice to bidders, the bids will be opened at Public Works Tuesday, September 19th. And hopefully we get a bunch of them.
That skylight's brand spanking new. That's so sad.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item D, approve a contract change order number 2.
I I make a motion to approve the contract change order number 2 with Atlas Exteriors for the replacement of the Mueller Civic Center flat roofs. Additional membrane and fastener materials needed, increasing the contracted price by $7,321.16 to a new total of $261,120.03.
Second.
Discussion. All right, so that's the narrative I was reading. The additional membrane and fastener materials needed to extend the parapets, which will be receiving new metal caps during the metal roof replacement. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item E, an automatic budget supplement.
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $409,280.85 to the Mueller Civic Center Building Repairs and Maintenance, 101-45600-42520 for the replacement. Revenue received from SDPAA claim number GC20221111390.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item F, an automatic budget supplement.
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $69,358.05 to the library building repairs and maintenance, 101-45500-42520 for the library roof replacement. Revenue received from SDPAA claim number GC20221111390.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item G, an automatic budget supplement.
Make a motion to approve automatic budget supplement of $10,118.91 to the Southern Hills Golf Course Pro Shop Building Repairs and Maintenance, 620-45130-42520 for the clubhouse roof replacement. Revenue received from SDPAA claim number GC20221111390.
Second.
Discussion?
I would just point out that with this claim, insurance gave us proceeds to repair, and we chose to replace the roof. So this doesn't cover the full replacement cost. We chose to do that.
That was in
You're
our
on the
budget?
pro shop, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Was that in our budget
So we're
meeting?
paying an extra $10,000.
No, I think that your contract was $39,000. So this is how much the insurance gave us to repair the roof.
Oh,
We
okay.
chose to replace it. I don't have any other revenue to supplementally appropriate at this time, just what the insurance company gave us.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item H, an automatic budget supplement.
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $16,818.63 to the wastewater fund improvement other than building, 604-43250-43300 for the sewer and water main replacement project. Grant reimbursement received from CDBG grant number 1919-107-10.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item I, recognize and record the name of the supplier.
Make a motion to recognize and record the name of the supplier. The purchase of 4,500 gallons of 100 LL aviation gasoline by the Hot Springs Municipal Airport as required by SDCL 5-18C-6. Purchase made with City Service Valcon LLC for a total cost of $4.93 per gallon. Other vendors considered were Ascent Aviation Group, World Fuel at $5.69 per gallon, and Epic Aviation LLC at $5.07 per gallon.
Second.
Discussion.
What exactly is this?
Every time we purchase airport fuel, we're
Right.
required by the statute to recognize and record the names and ensure that we get the lowest possible cost of the three. So every time you purchase airport fuel, you have this item.
When's the last time we did this?
Wasn't very long ago.
No, we've been going through fuel pretty good.
We do this
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, I think you've done it twice this year already.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking, that you just did this, didn't we?
Yeah, this is only a half load. We can hold twice this amount, or 8,000 gallons.
Yeah, and the reason we bought fuel when we did is we wanted to make sure we had plenty of fuel for the fly-in, because we didn't want to start a fly-in with only a couple thousand gallons when we'll probably go through 3 or 3,500 gallons.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item J, Alice training for Officer McMillan.
Make a motion to approve Thomas McMillan to attend Alice Instructor Training Course, August 16th through August 17th, 2023.
Second.
Discussion? Looking at the total cost, because we have the agreement with the school district for the school resource officer, the school will pay half of this cost and we'll pay half of it.
They actually reimburse us for the half of the expenses at the end of the period. So we pay everything up front and then we get a reimbursement.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. That brings us to our committee reports, Administrative and Finance. JR, Melissa?
Administrative and Finance met today at 1 o'clock here at the Mueller Center. In attendance were Mayor Bob Nelson, Finance Officer Misty Summers Walton, Alderwoman Deb Johnston, Co-Chair Melissa Niles, and Chair J.R. Huddleston. Old business number 1, additional costs related to water wastewater replacement road project, ongoing review and discussions, necessary funding for water wastewater overages, potential end-of-year interfund loan transfer, delayed mid-year transfers, water wastewater, recommending a review in November. Committee recommended to be reviewed in November. Number 2, discuss selling land the city owns. Item A, 4.14 acres adjacent to Simon's Quarry near Evergreen Cemetery, general government. Item B, 7+ acres north of Hayden property in Hot Brook Canyon, water replat and only offer for buildable piece of sale. And item C, 100+ acres near the Hot Springs, excuse me, the Hot Brook Canyon pump station, water, not meadow area. Item A, recommended to council to surplus the 4.14 acres. Item B, recommend moving forward to council to surplus after following the steps to assure replat if necessary and easement of water lines. The area is HSWC2 East. Item C is 100+ acres is ongoing, pending further communications. Number 3, review utility fees, must set new rates for 2024 and beyond. Casey Burris Project, Technical Assistance Provider, Midwest Assistance Program, 1.9 to 2% increase to rates, DANR, considering change to minimum rate of $35 to $50, ordinance revisions would be needed. Committee recommends a 2.5% increase, future ordinance revision to be sent to the council. Item 4, review, discuss proposed changes, additions, City Hot Springs personnel policies, clothing, TikTok, paid night differential, overtime clarification for exempt employees, exempt employee use of leave, flexible work arrangements, remote work, travel expenses, work on a holiday, clarification and return of city property, and City Hot Springs Safety Manual clarifying PPE standards. This is still under review. New business, item 1, Mayor Nelson per diem rates. It's under review. Item 2, job description changes, Recreation Director, Southern Hills Golf Course salaried employees. Three of those. Development Coordinator name change, City Administrator, remove valid South Dakota driver's license requirement from job descriptions where not necessary. A draft proposal is due next meeting. Item 3, 2024 dispatch agreement offered by Fall River County. We need to work on a counteroffer. We're assigning that to the Public Safety Committee. Item 4, restaurant liquor license fee set 10 years ago. Consider changing. Committee recommends raising to $15,000. More to follow, checking with city attorney. Number 5, review proposal agreement, establish terms for repayment of training, certification, clothing, and equipment. This is under review and to have a draft by next meeting. Excuse me. Item 6, review monthly finance officer's report. Missed reviewed with us. It is in your packet on the information side. Number 7, committee member items. The mayor advises of the new wastewater employee Sandoval starting the 9th. JR had questions about pickleball. We adjourned at 3:10. Next meeting, September 5th at 1 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center. J.R. Huddleston, Chair.
Melissa, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nope, it's complete.
Council, do you have any questions? Thank you. Before we ask Travis to do airport advisory, with your agreement, I would like to add Bill as co-chair to airport advisory. I didn't realize when I asked you to take over airport that was kind of like asking you to drink from a fire hose. Hal had the luxury of being a co-chair, so he could learn about all of the committee assignments, and I think it would be beneficial for Bill to also be co-chair, and then if you have any, conflicts with the school, then he can take over there. So
the training wheels.
Think about it.
If you're okay with that, I'd like Bill to go ahead. And,
Yeah, appreciate that.
We had talked about him transitioning you, and I think probably the best way to do that is to have him continue as co-chair. So, all right. So going forward, Misty, if you would add Bill as co-chair to Airport Advisory, please.
Got it.
All right. Gentlemen, you're up.
So the City of Hot Springs Airport Advisory Committee minutes of meeting are as follows. The date and time were Thursday, August 3rd, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. We met at the Hot Springs Municipal Airport. The members present, Gary Telkamp and Petra Wilson. Employees present were Rick Breitenbach and Tracy Bastian. Elected officials present were Aldermen Travis Orbach and Bill Lukens. And Charlie Baker from KLJ Engineering was there, as well as Chase Palo from High Country Erectors. The agenda was adopted as published. There were no communications from the public. And our airport manager update, we had a T-hanger update. Rebar is being set and was expected to be completed on the 4th, August 4th. They're planning to pour concrete this Friday, the 11th. KLJ recommends extra cylinders in case curing strength completes early and building erection can begin early. Once the concrete is ready, building erection should begin 3 to 4 days after that. Our monthly fuel summary is as follows. 4,500 gallons of fuel was purchased at $4.93 delivered. The current price for 8,000 gallons delivered is $5.28 a gallon. The committee discussed a potential price increase after the September fly-in to prepare for the next purchase. 2,847 gallons of fuel were sold in July. The monthly flight operations, we had 150 operations plus 23 seat operations in July. We also had 6 balloon launches and 0 landings in July. Our hangar utilization The city hangar is at 85%, with spaces being held for one seaplane until we are out of hail season. The old hangar is occupied at 83%, with one open space available for transient patrons. There were no airport observations or opportunities for improvement reported. There was no old business. The new business, the first item, the airport engineer consultation selection, which we talked about this evening. We discussed the process for the required 5-year selection, and we requested that the committee review and comment on the consultant selection procedure by August 11th. We discussed the shower installation at the airport. We discussed the safety of showers versus the convenience of showers. And we discussed the potential independent fundraiser for a shower for the terminal building. Funds and work would be donated to the city through the donation process. Our next meeting will be Thursday, September 7th, and we adjourned at 9:50 in the morning.
Any questions?
Yeah, I got one question. Do they plan on landing at any time, sir?
Do they plan on what?
Landing?
Landing?
Yes, sir.
The balloon?
Oh.
It's a running joke, Travis. Welcome to the club.
I still have my training wheels on.
I think last time they had 1 or 2 landings.
Yeah, we had one landing and no takeoffs.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management, Larry?
Okay, this is from the July 13th meeting. The meeting started at 7 p.m. Members present were Dean Weekly, Rita Reagan, Les Cope, myself, Timmy Burdette, and Dee Anderson. Absent were Mike Lindy and Peg Ryan. The appointment of Timmy Burdette, Ulrich's mayor, to the district was received. Mayor Burdette replaces Joe Messinio. The appointment of Larry Pratt to replace Craig Romey as the City of Hot Springs representative to the district was received. The treasurer's report was given and approved. Kerry Barker, the contract manager, reported 2 roll-offs were placed at the landfill to help minimize road damage due to the recent heavy rains. Barker inquired about developing a pilot program for DANR consideration for accepting soil containing radium. The board requested FMG develop a proposal for board consideration at the next meeting. Jason Hines from FMG responded in mid-June 2023 to the second request for information received by Danner for the permit renewal. The technical review is complete and the full permit, once issued, should be valid until 2028. The board requested FMG to present an updated cost of analysis at the next meeting. Based upon Danner guidance provided to Hines, a board-approved rate increase would first require passing a resolution and then publishing the resolution as a public notice in the district's official newspaper. A letter from Russell Olson, Auditor General with South Dakota Legislative Audit, was received authorizing Benjamin Elliott Independent Audit Services to perform the 2020 and 2021 audit. Solicitations of RFPs of potential auditors for the 2022 and 2023 audit continues. Fees associated with providing credit card payment services were reviewed, no changes made. Reagan reported the city of Edgemont does not currently have possession of the Oxnard Hotel, but may soon and is researching grants to assist in the demolition and disposal costs of the dilapidated building. All chair members remained the same as the chair elections was performed. Starla Russell reappointed as the deputy secretary and received a 10% increase. Board compensation to remain the same at $50 a meeting, chairman $75 a meeting, and mileage to remain at .625 a mile. Fall River County Herald to remain as the official newspaper for the Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District. Okay, these are the banks. First Interstate Bank, Black Hills Federal Credit Union, DB, Liberty National, and First National Bank will remain as the financial institution for Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District. Designation of a single signature on checks issued for under $50,000. There was no public comment. The meeting adjourned at 8:45 p.m. Next meeting will be September the 14th at 7 p.m. at the Mueller Center.
Any questions for Larry? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Historic Preservation, Deborah?
They met last Wednesday, August 2nd at 5 p.m. Present were Chairman Steve Wienia, Pat Like, Joe Muller, myself, Mayor Bob Nelson, Scott Sogi, and Diana Stroh. Under new business, there was some things done backwards because people are failing to get approval before they put up new signs. So a new sign was added to 309. Well, this one wasn't, I'm sorry. But new sign was added to the 309. We thought there was no permit or certificate, but the certificate had been obtained a couple years ago, but the sign was never installed until lately. So that had to be figured out. And then a new sign was placed at 145 North Chicago Street. The Husted Law Office obtained a building permit, and a sign was installed on the existing signposts. Agenda request form approval. There was some discussion about the purpose of the form and the benefit of having the description written on the form and presented to the commission prior to a meeting. The form was discussed and approved, and hopefully it's going to be placed on the website so you can get a copy of it off of that, along with the other form to get sign approvals. Under old business, window replacement at 445 North River, which is the Mercantile. There was a formal vote by email, and the vote passed. There was a comment of the dissimilar window sizes, and where there was actually a space left that is being dealt with, apparently. Scott will look at the installation and report back to the commission. New awning at 602 Sulphur Springs Street, the Inn by the River Motel Cafe. They also failed to get approval prior to doing the work. The American Best Value Inn, Scott followed up on that and met with the owners. They obtained the proper permit and have presented a certificate of appropriateness application. Number 3, an awning at 1729 Minnetonka Avenue, the Burdett House. Scott followed up on that, met with the owners, and they have purchased the building permit and have presented a certificate of appropriateness. And then sign 627 North River Street, the old Upper Crust Cafe building. He had to follow up on that sign that was put up before approval. The At Ease Restaurant at North River Street. Diana Stroh spoke of the history of the building and the building's age and how she has a very strong interest in being accurate on the renovations and maintenance of the building. Diana explained the sign was installed on the same support rod and was made of wood, as the building most likely had a wood sign years ago. Under discussion, the river wall, retaining wall height in front of the American Best Value Inn Motel, and what discussion options. There was a conversation on what products are best to use for safe defense. Suggestions included welded rail, anodized iron, and chain link. The concerns were matching other existing similar situations in the city and uniformity. Chain link was discussed. Scott will look at different options and hopefully be able to present some actual physical samples. Cost is always a driving factor, and the final comment was to keep looking at options. And number 2, grants and historic district awareness and notification to the public. What is the best method of getting the information to new residents moving into town? Different notification methods were discussed. One option was having a flyer available for City Water Department to offer a handout at the initial meeting with the new resident while they're setting up a utility service bill. being consistent on who is in the historic district and who isn't in the historic district will be something to work on as the boundaries have changed in the past years. Diana Stroh asked where to go to Hot Springs for history, and I suggested she take a look at the Helen McGee Library up at the library and the museum. We adjourned at 6:30 p.m. Our next meeting is September 6th at 5 o'clock here at the Mueller Center.
Any questions for Deborah?
Are you guys working on preparing that brochure?
Yes, we will be.
Okay, awesome. We will do what we can in the finance office to help share it with people in the district if you help us identify them.
Okay.
Talking about it in the district, it was also mentioned that there are other historic properties that are outside the historic district, so it would probably be best to just go ahead and provide that to any new owner and have kind of a double section on it.
Great.
Opportunities available for people that are in fact in the district and other opportunities for people who aren't, and let them decide which of the resources would be available to them, so that it wouldn't be up to the city staff to try to identify this particular home is in the district, so they would get the letter or not. Any new resident or any new water service would get the notices. Thank you, Deborah.
You bet.
Evans Plunge Advisory, Linda.
Okay, I was provided with a list of admission comparisons from 2023, from 2022. So in May of 2023, we were at 21,201 admissions, compared to 2022 is 14,351, an increase of 48%. In June of 2023, it was 22,453, compared to 2022, which was 20,136 admissions, up 12%. And in July, it was, for 2023, it was 25,525 admissions, compared to 21,962 in 2022, up 17%. This was just numbers that the director wanted to share with everybody, and our next regular meeting will be August 10th, this Thursday at noon.
She shared them with me, and I actually thought they were pretty powerful. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So those numbers help understand in your report, Misty, looking at the profit and loss for the Evans Plunge as of end of July. The profit is $85,000. That's reflective of those numbers.
I've been busy.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you. Parks.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
That kind of brings, when we look under the personnel actions of tonight, we had all these people, lifeguards, front desk, who were, last days were in July and the first part of August. Whether if we would have been able, or would have voted to give that bonus, if we would have kept those people till the end of the season. I mean, this is not a good time to be losing help whenever we're doing extra superb.
Well, I was just wondering how many of those that left wanted to have some time to themselves before going back to school.
But if they would have had some incentives to stay, they might have, you know.
Certainly a good question to ask Chris.
Yeah.
Have her pull the ones that left, and would that have made a difference for them?
Yeah, it would, but I'd like to know.
I would point out that this does happen at this time of year with Evans Plunge employees, and we always seem to talk about, why are there so many people leaving? But it's standard for the school kids that they're able to hire in the summertime, and some of them give them their first jobs to have to go back to school. and a number of them do choose to leave a little bit before because of sports or other activities that they have planned. So.
Yeah, school starts next week.
Yep.
Wow.
That's pretty standard.
All right, Parks Recreation, Larry?
I have acquiesced to
And
my
Linda?
sidekick.
Okay, Parks and Recreation met on August 2nd, 2023 at 2:03 PM. Present were Chuck Howard, Deborah Johnston, Jason Midgley, Clint Sheldon, Jennifer Sheldon. And the committee members present were Gabby Martin, Larry Pratt, and Linda Varvel. An update was given from Gabby Martin on recreation. The swimming program has finished. She's looking forward to the fire hydrant party on August 12th at 2 p.m. on Library Drive. She was approved for an online registration with Sports Equine, and she will be talking with the school for winter activities. The Connor Sheldon All-Inclusive Memorial Playground was updated, their information was updated by Clint and Jennifer Sheldon. They basically gave us a rundown of the items that they have been doing as a fundraisers for this playground. Their yard sale generated $1,800, and they're doing a 50/50 tickets sale at Fall River County, and they were going to do at the Fall River County Fair, and they were going to do a 50/50 tickets in Sturgis. There's some other activities. They have in March of 2024, they have a dinner and a silent auction and a band playing at the American Legion. And they've set up some other items that will be coming by in the future for them. We were to have a Kidney Springs gazebo update by the Rotary Club, but nobody was present. Pickleball update, Jason Midgley was asking about the 2023 budget funds to start the project on the pickleball court, and Larry will follow up with the mayor on that. And then we had a use of electricity at the city parks by campers in RV, and we're looking for signage to not allow unauthorized use. The Ham Radio Club came in and talked to us about setting up on the west side of the library for August 12th. We discussed that earlier this evening. Old business, we discussed the grass volleyball court equipment. At this point, the poles and cement need to be returned to that group. The next meeting will be September 6th at 2 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center, and we adjourned at 2:36 p.m.
Anything to add, Larry?
Yeah, I'd like to add two things here. They have a donation jar set up at Baumgars for the Connor Sheldon All-Inclusive Memorial Playground. Venmo is going to be set up for out-of-town donations. And they're putting to the Rush in Rapid City is going to put a benefit game on just for Connor Sheldon. So I think that's pretty cool.
And this playground equipment is being focused towards School Street Park, is my understanding, for handicap accessible accessible playground.
That hasn't been determined as of yet. That's the general thought, the general process, but still hasn't got that far in that decision yet. But thank you for bringing that up.
And what hasn't gotten that far yet? The location?
The location to put the playground. I don't believe there was ever a decision made as to where the playground was going to be set up at until they were ready to come forth with at that time. And the way this is looking, it could probably be another year out before they get all the monies together to get the playground acquired.
My recollection is the parents did like School Street Park because the son is buried in Evergreen Cemetery, so there would be that connection, and I think their words were he could overlook.
Exactly, and you'd brought that up too, Mayor.
The park.
Yeah, so I'd like to see it put at School Street Park. Kill two birds with one stone, but...
Yes, because we've got equipment there that our insurer doesn't like.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll acknowledge pickleball and Jason Midgley. And Jason has reached out to me via email and phone, and I have not gotten back to him. So Jason, this is my public acknowledgement that I haven't returned your calls or your email. And when Jason first approached the group, the council, he was asking about the possibility of council budgeting some money either in 2024 or finding some money in 2023. And I had mentioned at the time that I thought there might be some money in parks and improvements other than buildings, but needed to take a look at what council had approved for this year in that particular line item. I had a chance to talk with Billy today. The items that council approved out of that particular line item is the gazebo at Kidney Springs, the stairs, and the stair repair by the fire department and by the Episcopal Church, and also the railings. The railings are the ones that are by the waterfall. The railings closest to the fall itself have been repaired and have been powder coated. The railing adjacent to the river has not had that done. Billy thinks that the cost of that would probably be around $1,000. I had a chance to go down and look at the gazebo. The concern with the gazebo is the 8 columns, the 8 pillars that are holding the roof of it up are failing at the base of it. So they need to be replaced. We don't have an exact cost on those yet. Tracy has found some resources for that. So my thought was if we didn't do the gazebo repairs and if the railing repairs had already been done and we still had $17,449 left, there might be some of that money that council would want to put towards the pickleball. My recommendation at this point is that we not spend any money until we know what the repairs for the gazebo are going to cost us and the repair for the railing. And once we get that figured out, then we'd have a better idea of what's going to be left in that particular pot. Getting it in the 2024 budget. That one's on me, completely missed bringing that in front of you to have that taken care of. But we may still have some money left in this particular pot to give towards the pickleball, if that's the direction council wants to go. But I don't think we're in a position to make a decision until we know what the repairs for the pillars at the gazebo are going to be. They are failing. At least 2 or 3 of them are failing at the base of it. The pillars that Tracy found are actually fiberglass pillars rather than wooden pillars, so they would weather much better than getting wooden ones done. So that's the update I have on the pickleball.
I'd like to add as a note too, and I think you mentioned it, Mayor, I know that Misty had mentioned it, in lieu of putting the signs up, just locking the boxes so people can't get in there. And I think you had brought that conversation up. I know you had said something, Misty, about that.
Yes, signs
No.
don't seem to stop folks. And
What's that?
signs don't seem to stop folks.
Right.
If there's access, they'll use it.
And also, you had sent an email out today, Misty, in reference to the stairs.
I did, just to a few of you. Not everybody got that, but I just shared with you some information I received regarding some grant opportunities, not open for 2023, but potentially in 2024 that may assist us or help with the financing or funding to replace some stairs.
So when you're talking about locks for the electric boxes in Centennial Park, Bill and I chatted about that a little bit the other day. If you lock them, then who do you go to unlock them?
Right.
Some locks have codes, and when they rent it or pay for the electricity, we could provide the code.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Planning and zoning, Deborah?
They will be meeting August 16th at 7 p.m. at City Hall.
Thank you. Public safety, Bill, JR?
Okay, Public Safety met Thursday, August 3rd, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Council members present were myself, JR, and Deborah. Also present were the mayor, Chief Norton, Fall River County Sheriff Lyle Norton, and PD Captain Phil Shively, and a member of the public, Sally Park Hageman. We adopted the agenda. There were no communications from the public. Update from the police department. The seat mounts for the in-car computers are now in, and installation will begin up at Suntech this week. Under old business, the house number project, addresses have been compiled and a draft letter has been generated to send out to those addresses. Regarding the signage requests at University and 23rd Street, so far what we've done on that is the speed sign trailer has been relocated to 23rd Street area to help folks understand what they're doing right or wrong in that area. Under new business, there was a stop sign or a request for a four-way stop to be put in at 20th Street and University Avenue. A local group of citizens are requesting that. The merits of that request was discussed.
20th and Washington.
What did I say?
University.
Sorry. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you for that correction. Yes, 20th and Washington. The merits of that request were discussed and will be assessed and the decision communicated to that neighborhood group or to the neighborhood representative within 30 days. I do want to compliment that group. There were, I think, 9 or 10 people that actually signed a petition and brought to public safety with that concern. So it wasn't just a matter of one person say, hey, I don't like what's going on here. It was a fairly extensive community-wide concern that they brought to the committee. Under a learning moment, we have an awareness training opportunity. There's a training opportunity for local law enforcement regarding sex trafficking awareness. We discussed that. An initial meeting to discuss the scope of the training will be set up to include representatives from the Hot Springs Police Department and Fall River Sheriff's Department. And other items, the committee continued to discuss, along with the Fall River County Sheriff, a potential project to install automatic license plate reading cameras in the city and key locations in the county. This effort would require a Homeland Security grant. We'll continue to work with the vendor and our partnering agencies on this project. We think we might be able to partner also with Custer County on this. And we think if we bring 3 agencies in as we apply for the Homeland Security grant, we may have a real chance at getting some significant grant money on this. We adjourned about 3 p.m. and our next meeting will be Thursday, September 7th, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center.
You called it an automatic license plate identification system?
Automatic license plate reading cameras.
Reading cameras, thank you.
ALPRs.
And what would be the purpose of that, sir? What would be the purpose of that?
If there is something like an Amber Alert, or say we get if dispatch gets a call from Pennington County that says there's a bad guy headed down Highway 79 and here's the license plate number, or we're looking for a certain license plate number, or maybe there's for any number of reasons, whether it's a national hot list or a local hot list. Instead of an officer or a deputy running around the county trying to find that, you drive past this camera in either direction, and within seconds, it identifies it, takes a picture of it, and if we have that license number entered into a hot list, dispatch gets a text within seconds. It's the same cameras that are used down on the border.
Oh, okay.
So it's a real force multiplier, if you will, for law enforcement. And they're not just chasing around trying to find stuff, but with the number, as an example, for those of you that live in scanner land, one night there was a non-custodial abduction, I think they call it, out of Custer County, or out of Custer. And they didn't know whether that person was headed to Wyoming, down to Hot Springs, down 89 to Edgemont, or wherever. So everybody's out looking. So if our county was outfitted with these cameras, you could enter that license number into a hot list and law enforcement would know where that person's going.
So you said that there might be grant money for this
Yeah, these
project?
cameras, state of South Dakota allows these. Homeland Security allows their grant money to be used to purchase these cameras. They're about $18,000 to $20,000 a piece. They're solar powered.
So I guess according to how much ever grant money is allowed, that will allow us a certain number of cameras for
That defines the size of the project, yeah.
Okay. That was my question, is
Yeah,
how many cameras were going to be involved?
If we could get a couple $100,000, we could put about 8 to 9 cameras countywide.
Does there have to be some kind of service to the camera? Because how do they, if there's not software that's running on some kind of internet connection, how do you?
There is some back office software running in the cloud.
I was just thinking our in-car cameras cost us an additional $10,000 to $11,000 a year just for the MiFi and the software. And so I was wondering if these would.
There will be some ongoing cost, and so that's some of the stuff we'll find out so that we don't jump into something that doesn't have a bottom.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting and could be very, very helpful.
What's the approval process look like on that?
It's actually the county is the one that submits Homeland Security grants. And so by working with the sheriff's office on a common project, we actually wouldn't be competing with them, which is very, very helpful. We got our in-car computers because they didn't apply for anything the year we got the grant for our in-car computers. And I'm not sure what the timeline is on the Homeland Security grants. And those are often almost, I think, were those 100% grants?
They vary.
But it's...
I was going to ask one more, Hal, for you. So is that a kind of a unilateral decision with the county then?
No, we could, if we wanted to go just and put them up in the city, we could do that. It just makes more sense to do a combined projects, and that's why we wanted to pull the sheriff in and have the discussion with him if he wanted to get on board with it. And then even expand that discussion and bring in the Custer County Sheriff in on the discussion.
If Custer County has them, Pennington County has them, and other surrounding counties, how many are each of them going to have overlapping with the ones we have. Somebody coming from Pennington County comes through here, we already know from Pennington County that they're on the way.
I don't know that Pennington County has them.
Well, but if they get them, or Custer County.
Yeah, if they did, if Pennington County had them and Custer County had them, then the system just gets more and more precise.
JR, anything you'd like to add?
Did a good job. Thanks, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Public Works, Bill, Hal?
Meeting was held on the 1st, 1 p.m. at the Mueller Center. Members present were Bill Wilkins, myself, Deborah Johnson, and Mayor Bob Nelson. Employees present, Engineer Tracy Bastion, Maintenance Foreman Billy Morrow, Water System Foreman Sean, how do you pronounce his last name?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Sean's last name.
Hiley.
Hiley. Members of the public were Gene Frederickson. Under new business, a member of the public brought the following concerns to the committee. The Garden Street dust abatement request, excuse me, at 200 South Garden. It was discussed potentially using mag water on the unpaved portion of South Garden Street. Also, floodwater damage near Kidney Springs Park. This damage had already been recorded by the South Dakota Department of Transportation and will be addressed by the road reconstruction project. Excavation permits, define and implement roles and responsibilities assignment to ensure street repairs are made after private contractor disturbs pavement to install utilities. A, next steps, meet with City Hall staff to identify roles, document proper fees, and document a roles and responsibility matrix. 3, the street lighting contract, which I might add that 2 days after we had this meeting, that light company was here working on the lights. So whoever made that phone call did a good job. Street lighting contract, discuss how to ensure the service contract is being fulfilled. A, polls have been numbered per contract. B, reviewing the contract to determine if routine services are being performed. C, the reviewing of other options once the contract is up for renewal. Number 4, the waste totes purchases. Decision to purchase 500 new totes. Sanders Sanitation recommends a purchase of 500 totes. Public Works concurs and recommends the council that the city purchase the 500 totes. There's streets and maintenance. Dakota Asphalt is generating an estimate for asphalt replacement at 4 of the most severely degraded road surface locations in the city. We will pursue work as our budget funds allow. In water, 1, the lightning has taken on instrumentation on both pumps at various times, requiring some manual operation. Parts are on order. 2, a solar panel is in for the instrumentation and controls on the 2 million gallon storage tank. 3, members of the water department as well as the street department continue to support city responsibilities associated with the road construction project. 4, the water test of the residents on South 4th Street was negative for contaminants, as was for 3 other locations tested. The source of the odor was an anode in the home's hot water heater. Under Public Works Engineer, the Public Works Engineer continues to support city responsibilities associated with road construction project. 2, preparing those to bidders for the middle section or the lobby and the skylight of the Mueller Center. 3, the clubhouse roof did receive damage for the July 17th hailstorm.
Did or did not?
Did.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
4, the mayor has reached out to potential interested contractors that may provide bids to repair the retaining wall at the clubhouse. The 30-day look ahead, primary activities for the members will be focused on city's responsibilities associated with the road construction project, in addition to those noted in the active tables project. The Public Works Engineer will begin on the Lookout Avenue. Code enforcement, a review of the latest inspection and associated communications and updates are planned. The next meeting is Tuesday, August the 15th, 1 p.m. here at Mueller Center.
Bill, anything you want to add?
No additions.
Hal, you had mentioned, at least I thought you had said something about Kidney Springs and DOT.
The damage. the flood wall damage near Kidney.
Oh, flood wall damage, okay. All right.
And then the clubhouse roof wasn't the only one that was inspected for damage from the storm on the 17th.
Yeah, what happened to it?
Hail
More hail.
damage? More hail?
More hail.
That's something I need to go look at.
Is that something I need to go look at, Misty?
I don't think so. We have an adjuster coming down from the insurance company, and I think the library asked you to take a look at theirs, and you helped them,
Yeah,
right?
I looked at theirs. They
Yeah,
looked
I
o-
just,
yeah.
when I sent out the email asking for anybody who has a claim to let me know so I can communicate with the adjuster, I did share your name and phone number if anybody
Okay.
needed help inspecting the
Right.
roofs.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Southern Hills Golf Course committee will meet next Monday, 6 PM at the clubhouse. Finance officer report. Misty?
Thank you. I will go over my monthly finance officer report, but first, I wanted to thank Jeff LaRive. He shared some kind words, but also shared that it was quite embarrassing when I incorrectly stated that he was looking at the Hot Springs, Arkansas website when he showed me his phone. There was some confusion on a calendar and wanting that calendar to be correct. And I told him that I would share that he was in fact looking at the Hot Springs Chamber website, and the AR in the line was the last words of calendar. I did tell him I was sorry. I just wanted to get to the bottom of it because it's important to me that our calendar is correct. We do, however, miss things, so I wanted to thank him for bringing it up and taking the time to show me on the spot. Our Hot Springs website, which is www.hs-sd.org, has a calendar, and that is the one that you should review if you're interested in keeping up with city meetings. If you remember, the meeting was changed because of a holiday. The chamber has an automatic schedule that updates their calendar. We had ours updated, but they didn't get theirs updated. I did reach out to the chamber. We're going to work better at making sure that they get the updates when we change meetings as well. But I did want to acknowledge that it takes a lot to come to these meetings and stand up and ask those questions. And so I really wanted to thank him for doing that and apologize if in any way it was embarrassing. So now that that's out of the way, I'll give you my monthly finance officer report. Thank you so much for participating in the 2024 budget meetings. I do appreciate the time and attention taken to discuss and understand the needs of our city. I truly believe one of our most important responsibilities is to be good stewards of the public dollars we manage. I have input all updates and have distributed the worksheets to each department head, mayor, and city council. I'm currently working on the 2024 appropriation ordinance and the certificate of municipal tax levy. The ordinance will have its first reading on September 5th, and as with all ordinances, it does require 2 readings, a vote to pass, publication in the official newspaper, and then the passage of 20 days before it can become effective. Once effective, I'll file the levy with the county auditor's office. I have distributed the 2022 audit report and annual financial statements to our lenders who require annual reporting, and the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board as required by our Evans Plunge Mineral Springs refinance bond agreement. As of August 2nd, it's also posted on the DLA website. By now, our new members are likely realizing that municipal governance and its reporting and accounting requirements are varied and challenging. Although most of you are familiar with these acronyms and resources by now, our newer members may not be. So I wanted to take a moment to summarize some of our most valuable resources. Obviously, the South Dakota Municipal League. They produce the Blue Book, which is the handbook for municipal officials. It's full of guidance on all the granted authorities you exercise in the management affairs of the city. If you don't have an updated version of this book, please contact City Hall. They have a dedicated staff that helps improve all areas of municipal government. They're definitely one of our best resources when we need training or have problems or questions. They're available by phone or online at themunicipalleague.org. The South Dakota Department of Legislative Audit, or DLA.
They produce the Green Book, or the Municipal Accounting Manual. That provides governmental accounting guidance on financial reporting and recording, subsidy records, control accounts, budgets, annual reporting, audit requirements, and many other specific accounting policies. Although you don't receive a hard copy of this book, it is available online at the DLA website. It has many other helpful, valuable links. You can check the annual reports of other communities, find statutory bidding requirements, and state and federal and national links to government accounting standards. Rod Fortin is the Director of Local Government Assistance at DLA, and he's a great resource available to help answer questions from citizens or council members or municipal staff, and his contact information is shared. South Dakota Codified Laws, or SDCL, they're the official statutes of South Dakota. The Legislative Research Council maintains a website that provides instant access to South Dakota statutes, as well as other useful information like legislative contacts, previous and current legislative session information, and administrative rules. Although it is recommended that our city attorney be consulted on all legal matters, you took an oath to uphold these laws, so familiarity with at least how to access them is important. Municipalities are legal creations of the state legislature and provided for in the state constitution. This council only has those powers granted by that constitution or the statutes created by legislature. We're organized under the provisions of Title IX in codified law, but many other titles and chapters are applicable, impacting the daily business of the city. We've talked before about Dillon's Rule. It was named for an Iowa Supreme Court judge, and it guides interpretations of the authority a municipality is granted, which is only those powers specifically delegated to them by state law or fairly implied from expressly granted powers. City ordinances are also included in my listing. They were also included in your oath of office. And the obligation to uphold city ordinances belongs to each of us. Ordinances are a permanent legislative act and are necessary to carry into effect our vested statutory powers. They should be reviewed in their entirety for basic understanding and upheld at all times by all employees of the city, and most importantly by our governing body. American Legal Publishing codifies and publishes city ordinances through a link on our website, and ordinances approved by the governing body but not yet codified are also available on the website. And then there's our internal adopted city policies. This city has worked diligently to establish written policies where required and/or recommended. Having these policies written and adopted by council allows for management to follow a standard implementation practice. It also supports and encourages fair and equitable treatment and decision-making. Adhering to these policies is vital to protecting the city, its employees, and its citizens. City policies that may be of interest to you are our personnel policy, our safety manual, our investment policy, our language access plan, our accident investigation procedure, procurement policy, state bid booklet, donation and gift acceptance policy, and our grant policy. They're all in one binder, and each city location has one. All elected officials and employees are expected to adhere to all adopted city policies. Our profit and loss summary by fund will show you each fund and their year-to-date totals. A couple things I'd note on this report. Our Hot Springs Capital Improvement Fund is showing a loss of $2.1 million, but we know that's related to the sidewalk project. The wastewater fund's a little bit underwater. The golf course fund is currently showing a loss, but Evans Plunge, as the mayor mentioned earlier, has a gain of about $85,000 year-to-date, which is great for them. The budget to actual report, I have the same comments on the 501 Capital Improvement Fund. We have a plan to address the shortage in that fund, and that is the approved SDDOT loan. We're waiting till about November to analyze where that fund is at related to the sidewalk expenses before we determine a draw. But we'll have to take care of that before the end of the year because we can't leave the fund in the negative. You have your cash balance report for all funds of the city. That's our Wells Fargo main checking account. And then you have your investment policies that shows all the cash assets of the city. We don't have another maturing investment until September, which is when our Evans Plunge Debt Service Reserve bond matures. And I'll give you updates at that time on what our options are. The other thing I'd mention before I wrap up is that the current issue, the August issue of the South Dakota Municipal League magazine was delivered today and is in all your folders, and it's full of information for newly elected officials. So please take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions, as always.
Wait, where was that at?
They get delivered to City Hall, and we put them in the folders that you have at City Hall, where you pick up your, oh, you don't pick yours up. So when you come in City Hall and you see the ladies at the front desk, if you just go to the left, we have a counter there by the mayor's office, and that's where all your folders are at, where we'll put any correspondence that we receive for you. And I do want to mention for your newer council members, Bill Lucan has a great PowerPoint orientation, and if you are interested in spending some time with him, reach out, and he is willing to spend some time giving elected officials an orientation. New and existing, correct?
Yes, in fact, I know you guys love spending time together. It would be worth us having a special meeting, do we have to do a notice of quorum if we have a special meeting?
If there's everyone. But if you wanted to meet individually, you wouldn't have to.
And go through it. It would give us a time to have a two-way conversation, and most of that exchange would probably be towards Misty and the mayor. But, I'd be glad to lead us through that orientation, but because South Dakota Municipal League provides a lot of great information. A lot of what I've put in the orientation is more of some of the nuts and bolts of how we conduct business as a Hot Springs Council. And so I think it would be, even though we would have an agenda, and of course the second agenda item was we won't pay ourselves for it, but it would be worth spending an hour and a half together to go over it. Because otherwise what you find, and I think most of the veteran council members would attest to this, otherwise you spend about your first year on council figuring out what you're doing. And I played the new kid card for about 2 years, and then they took the deck away from me. So, again, I think it'd be beneficial.
Thank you.
And that's all I got to say about that.
We could do up to 4 at a time without a quorum.
But if we did it all at
once. You have to repeat
once.
yourself as often.
If it's going to be an hour and a half, will there be food involved?
If you're interested in that option, we'll discuss it further. In the orientation and the food option.
The
Okay.
food option, that's the most important.
That's yes.
All right. Any other questions for Misty? Thank you. We're pretty deep into the evening already. We have an executive session that could take us a heck of a lot deeper, so I'll simply leave my comments to one comment, and that's the budget. And I want to thank Misty and Ariel for putting in the time they did to get a budget for consideration for council. And I also want to acknowledge that as a group, you recognize that the two important items that needed to be addressed, and that I think you did a great job of addressing, is pay raises for the employees, and recognizing that you also need to give them the resources that they need to do the jobs that we as a city ask them to do. And I think you folks did a great job of doing that. So I personally want to thank you for the time that you put into the 2 nights. There were some folks that thought we might go longer than 2 nights, and it turned out that neither night was, well, the budget meetings weren't as long as this particular meeting is gone. So we did well. Well, again, thank you. I personally appreciate all the time that you put into it. So with that, that would bring us to a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion, we go into executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, 3, legal.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. There will not be any action taken after the executive session. There certainly will be a pause before the executive session, and would ask that Garland and Misty join us, and our guests would also join us, and we'll be in the conference room. So we'll see everybody there.
Always on top of it.
Are we back on?
Yeah.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Okay. I'm showing 10:13 3/4. Need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Garland, drive careful going home.
Watch out for those fluffalolo, Garland.
I almost broadsided one.